They thought attacking a human starship was easy. They were wrong. The deep darkness of space stretched all around the UES Defiant. The ship moved slowly through the stars, its lights glowing against the black sky. Commander Ji-ho sat in her captain's chair watching the main screen with calm eyes. "Any new readings, Officer Do-yoon?" she asked, turning to look at the science station. Do-yoon looked up from his screen. "Nothing unusual, Commander. Just the same star patterns we've been tracking for days." The Defiant was 3 months into its mission to explore the outer reaches of known space. The crew of 50 had settled into a comfortable routine. Some were excited about the unknown, while others missed Earth. But all trusted Ji-ho to lead them safely. Engineer Ha-Nul's voice came through the ship's speakers. "Engine performance is at peak efficiency, Commander. We could push for more speed if needed." "Keep our current pace," Ji-ho replied. "We're not in any rush." Little did they know that eyes were watching them, alien eyes filled with hunger for conquest. 2 hours later, the calm of the bridge was broken by an urgent beep from the sensor station. Do-yoon's fingers flew across his console. "Commander, unknown vessel approaching at high speed." His voice rose with alarm. "It's big, at least 3 times our size." Ji-ho stood up immediately. "Put it on screen." Communications Officer Min broadcast peaceful greetings on all frequencies. The main screen showed a massive ship with sharp angles and a dark metal hull. It looked like a predator, built for war, not exploration. "I'm sending our standard first contact message," Min said, her fingers working quickly. "No response yet." "Keep trying," Ji-ho ordered, "and wake up the rest of the senior crew. I want everyone at their stations." Security Chief Yoon-ji arrived first, her uniform half-buttoned. "What's the situation?" she asked, moving to her station. Before Ji-ho could answer, the ship shook violently. Warning lights flashed red across the bridge as crew members grabbed their stations for support. "We're under attack," Do-yoon shouted. They didn't even respond to our messages. Another blast hit the Defiant harder this time. The lights flickered and smoke poured from one of the wall panels. "Damage report," Ji-ho called out, her voice steady despite the chaos. Ha-Nul's voice came through, now strained with worry. "Main weapon systems damaged. Communications array is offline. Hull breach on Deck 4, but emergency shields are holding." The alien ship fired again. Ji-ho watched the screen as the enemy vessel moved with surprising speed for its size. "They're positioning for another attack run," Yoon-ji reported. "Their weapons are charging again." Ji-ho's mind raced through options. The Defiant was an exploration vessel, not a warship. They were outgunned and unprepared for battle. But she had one advantage: the aliens didn't know humans very well. "Helm, take us toward that nearby asteroid field," she ordered. "Maximum speed." "Running away, Commander?" Yoon-ji asked with surprise. Ji-ho shook her head. "Not running, thinking." She turned to Do-yoon. "Can you reconfigure our science probes to analyze their shield frequencies while they're firing at us?" Do-yoon blinked in surprise, then nodded. "Yes, if we can stay alive long enough." "That's my job," Ji-ho said with a small smile. She pressed the ship-wide communication button. "All hands, this is Commander Ji-ho. We are under attack by an unknown alien vessel. Standard protocols are no longer in effect. I need everyone to think creatively and be ready for unusual orders. This is not a drill." As the Defiant changed course toward the asteroid field, the main screen switched to show the inside of the alien vessel. A creature with gray skin and 4 eyes looked back at them. It spoke and the computer quickly translated. "Humans," the alien commander said, his voice filled with contempt. "I am Theric of the Vral Imperium. Your ship is now property of the Imperium. Your crew will be taken as slaves. Your resistance is foolish." Ji-ho stared back without fear. "This is Commander Ji-ho of the United Earth ship Defiant. We came in peace. You attacked without provocation. That was your first mistake." Theric laughed, a harsh sound like rocks grinding together. "And what was my second mistake, tiny human?" "Assuming we would be easy to defeat," Ji-ho replied. Then she cut the transmission. As the Defiant raced toward the asteroid field, the crew worked frantically to implement Jiho's plan. They would only get one chance to surprise their attackers. Behind them, the Vral ship pursued, firing occasional shots that rocked the human vessel. Inside his command center, Theric watched with amusement as what he thought was simply prey trying to escape. He had no idea what the humans were planning. He had no idea what humans were capable of when cornered. He was about to find out. They thought attacking a human starship was easy. They were wrong. The Defiant slipped behind a large asteroid, finally hidden from the Vral ship's sensors. Inside the bridge, the air was hot and filled with the smell of burned wires. Emergency lights cast red shadows on worried faces. "Status report, Commander," Jiho said, wiping sweat from her forehead. Engineer Hanul looked up from his tablet. His hands were black with soot. "Main power is at 40%. Weapon systems are mostly offline. Life support is stable but stressed. The ship's AI says, we have a 12% chance of survival," Doyun added quietly. Jiho nodded. "Then we have a chance." Security Chief Yoonji stared at her commander. 12% is not good odds. "Better than zero," Jiho replied with a small smile. "And the AI doesn't understand humans very well." She pressed a button on her chair. "All section leaders report to the bridge immediately. Bring your best ideas no matter how crazy they seem." While they waited, Jiho studied the asteroid field on the main screen. Hundreds of rocks, some small as cars, others large as mountains, floated in the darkness. The Vral ship moved slowly through them, searching. "They're hunting us," Yoonji said. Jiho nodded. "And that gives us time." When the section leaders arrived, Jiho explained the situation without sugarcoating it. "We're damaged, outgunned, and alone. But we have something the Vral don't expect: human creativity." She turned to Hanul. "Can you fix our weapons?" The engineer shook his head. "Not completely, but..." His eyes lit up. "I could take parts from our science probes and boost the power to one forward cannon. It won't be pretty, but it might fire 3 or 4 shots. Do it," Jiho ordered. She looked at Doyun. "What about our sensors?" The science officer had been quiet, thinking. "Our regular sensors are damaged, but the deep space telescopes are intact. They're meant for studying stars, but I could reverse their function, turn them into a kind of radar." "And our communications?" Jiho asked. "Beyond repair," Communications Officer Min said sadly. Then she paused. "Unless we could use the emergency beacons, reprogram them to broadcast false ship signatures instead of distress calls." Jiho smiled. "Phantom ships, I like it." For the next 6 hours, the crew worked non-stop. The Defiant transformed from an exploration vessel into something new, part warship, part trickster. People who had trained for years to follow rules now broke them, finding solutions no manual would suggest. Hanul knelt on the engine room floor, surrounded by parts from 3 different systems. "This connection isn't going to last long," he told his team. "But it doesn't need to. It just needs to work once." In the medical bay, Dr. Sun modified environment suits. "If we get boarded, these will mask our heat signatures from alien sensors. They'll still see us, but they won't be able to target vital organs as easily." Meanwhile, the Vral continued their search. Commander Theric grew angry as hours passed without finding the human ship. "How can they just disappear?" he shouted at his crew. "They're primitive beings. Their technology is inferior." His second-in-command approached cautiously. "Commander, we found something. An escape pod from the human vessel." Theric's 4 eyes narrowed. "Bring it aboard. Let's see what we can learn." The Vral scientists examined the pod and the single human body inside. The crewmen had died from wounds during the initial attack. The aliens were surprised by what they found. "Their bone density is remarkable," one scientist reported. "And look at these muscle fibers, designed for both power and endurance." Another scientist studied brain scans. "Their neural pathways suggest advanced problem-solving abilities, and these hormones, they actually perform better under stress." Theric dismissed their concerns. "One human is dead. The others will soon follow." But doubt had entered the Vral ship. The escape pod contained videos of Earth's history, wars, disasters, and recoveries. The aliens watched humans enduring incredible hardships, adapting to impossible situations and surviving against all odds. Back on the Defiant, Jiho gathered her senior officers. The repairs are as complete as they'll ever be. Now we need a battle plan that the Vral won't expect. Yunji stepped forward with a tablet. I've been studying Earth's military history. There's a tactic called divide and conquer. We can't beat their entire fleet at once, but if we separate them— Jiho nodded. We make them fight on our terms, not theirs. As they discussed the plan, the ship's AI spoke. Updated survival probability, 15%. Hanul laughed. See? We're already improving our odds. Outside in the asteroid field, the Vral ships continued their search, unaware that the hunted were about to become the hunters. They thought attacking a human starship was easy. They were wrong. Launch Protocol Thermopylae, Commander Jiho ordered. Her voice was calm, but her eyes showed fierce determination. The bridge crew moved with purpose. Each person knew their role in the desperate plan. It was time to stop running and start fighting. Back, deploying decoy beacons, Officer Min announced. She pressed a button and 6 small pods shot out from the Defiant into different parts of the asteroid field. Du-Yun monitored his modified sensors. Beacons active. Each one is broadcasting. A false ship signature. The Vral sensors should read 7 human vessels now, not just 1. On the Vral command ship, alarms sounded. Theric leaned forward in his chair, his 4 eyes widening. What is happening? He demanded. His sensor officer looked confused. Commander, we're detecting multiple human vessels. They must have called for reinforcements. Theric slammed his fist on his chair. Impossible! Their communications were destroyed. The readings are clear, the officer insisted. 7 ships spread throughout the asteroid field, Theric growled. Divide our fleet. Send 2 ships to each human vessel. Destroy them all. The Vral fleet split up, just as Jiho had planned. 12 war vessels spread out, hunting what they thought were 7 human ships. They took the bait, Yunji said, watching the enemy ships separate on the tactical display. Now for Phase 2. The Defiant powered up its engines and moved silently through the asteroid field. With their modified sensors, they could track the Vral ships while remaining hidden. Target the smallest enemy group, Jiho ordered. Let's even the odds. The Defiant approached 2 Vral ships from behind. They were focused on finding the decoy beacon, not watching their backs. Weapons ready? Jiho asked. Hanul nodded from his engineering station. Our 1 cannon is charged. We'll get 3 shots at most before it burns out. Make them count, Jiho said. Fire when ready. The modified cannon fired. The shot hit the first Vral ship's engines. Not enough to destroy it, but enough to cripple it. Before the second ship could react, the Defiant fired again. This shot hit the weapon systems, leaving the Vral vessel defenseless. 2 ships neutralized, Yunji reported with a smile. Move to the next target, Jiho ordered, and deploy the electromagnetic mines in our wake. The Defiant slipped away as the crippled Vral ships called for help. When reinforcements arrived, they triggered the mines left behind. The electromagnetic pulses didn't destroy the ships, but scrambled their systems temporarily. For the next 3 hours, the Defiant played a dangerous game of hit and run. They struck quickly, disabled enemy ships, and disappeared before reinforcements could arrive. Each attack was different, never following the same pattern twice. The Vral grew increasingly frustrated. Their strict military training didn't prepare them for this kind of warfare. They expected the humans to fight directly, ship against ship. Instead, the humans used the environment, turned the Vral's strength against them, and attacked only when they had the advantage. On his command ship, Theric raged as reports of disabled vessels came in. Half his fleet was now damaged or trapped in the asteroid field. These humans fight without honor, he shouted. They fight to win, his second-in-command said quietly, as we would in their position. Theric narrowed his eyes. Recall all ships. We will hunt them together. The remaining Vral ships gathered, forming a tight formation. They moved slowly through the asteroid field, covering each other's blind spots. This time, they would not be surprised. Aboard the Defiant, Jiho watched the Vral ships regroup. "They're learning," she said. "We need to end this now, before they adapt completely." "Our modified cannon is burned out," Hanul reported. "And we've used all our mines." Jiho nodded. "Then it's time for the final phase. Head directly for their command ship." The crew looked at her in shock. "That's suicide," Yunji said. "It would be," Jiho agreed. "Except for Do-Yoon's special project, is it ready?" The science officer nodded nervously. "The deep space telescopes have been converted to emit a concentrated electromagnetic pulse, but we'll need to get very close for it to work. And after we fire it, all our remaining power will be drained," Hanul added. "We'll be defenseless." Jiho stood up. "Either it works and we have a chance, or it fails and we die. There is no middle ground now." The Defiant powered up to full speed and headed straight for the Vral command ship. The sudden, aggressive move surprised the aliens. "They're on a collision course," Therek's officer shouted. Therek smiled cruelly. "They choose to die with honor. After all, prepare all weapons. We will destroy them before they reach us." The Vral ships opened fire. The Defiant took hits but kept coming, moving erratically to avoid the worst of the barrage. When they were almost within the Vral's boarding range, Jiho gave the order, "Now." Do-Yoon activated his modified telescope array. An invisible wave of energy burst from the Defiant, washing over the Vral command ship. All at once, the alien vessel's lights went dark. Their weapons fell silent. Their engines stopped. The electromagnetic pulse had worked. The Vral flagship was dead in space. Jiho stood in the center of her bridge looking at the disabled enemy ship. "Prepare boarding parties," she ordered. "It's time to meet Commander Therek face to face." They thought attacking a human starship was easy. They were wrong. Security Chief Yunji led the boarding team into the Vral command ship. 20 crew members followed her, each wearing the modified environment suits Dr. Sun had prepared. They carried simple weapons, mostly tools converted to fight with. The ship's regular weapons had been damaged in the battle. "Stay in groups of 4, Yunji ordered. "Remember your training. The Vral are bigger and stronger than us, but we're faster and smarter." The inside of the alien ship was dark. Emergency lights glowed a dull red, casting long shadows. The air smelled strange, like metal and something sweet that made their throats burn. "Breathing masks on," Yunji said. "Their air might be poisonous to us." They moved carefully through the wide hallways. The ship's design was different from human vessels. Everything was larger, built for creatures bigger than humans. The walls were covered with strange symbols and patterns. "Do-Yoon, which way to their control room?" Yunji asked through her radio. Back on the Defiant, Do-Yoon studied the scans they had taken. "Take the large passage to your right. Their command center should be 2 levels up." The human team moved forward, staying close to the walls. Soon they heard sounds, heavy footsteps and harsh voices. The Vral were coming. "Hide," Yunji whispered. The humans pressed themselves into doorways and behind equipment. 6 Vral soldiers marched past. Each was over 7 feet tall with gray skin and 4 eyes. They carried weapons that looked like spears but glowed with energy at the tips. When the soldiers passed, Yunji signaled her team to continue. They found a lift that would take them up to the command level. "It's too obvious," she said. "They'll expect us to use it. Look for another way." Team member June pointed to a narrow shaft in the wall. "Maintenance access? It might lead up." The shaft was tight for the Vral, but perfect for humans. One by one they climbed up, emerging on the upper level behind a large container. They were now just outside the command center. 4 Vral guards stood at the entrance. They were alert, weapons ready. "We need a distraction," Yunji said. Team member Song pulled out a small device Hanul had built. "This should work." She set the timer and slid it down the hallway. When it activated, it created the sound of human voices and footsteps coming from the opposite direction. The guards turned, 3 of them moving to investigate. Yoonji nodded to her team. They rushed the remaining guard, using stun weapons made from modified medical tools. The guard fell without making a sound. Inside the command center, Theric was trying to restore power to his ship. His 4 eyes burned with anger as screens remained dark and systems failed to respond. "How long until weapons are back online?" he demanded. Before his officer could answer, the doors slid open. Yoonji and her team rushed in, quickly subduing the few crew members inside. Within moments, they had control of the room and all weapons pointed at Theric. The Vral commander stood tall, refusing to show fear. "You fight without honor," he growled. "Sneaking like vermin." "We fight to win," Yoonji replied, using his own words against him. "As you would in our position." The doors opened again and Commander Jiho entered. She walked calmly to stand before Theric. Despite being half his height, she showed no fear. "Commander Theric," she said, "your ship is disabled. Your fleet is scattered. You have lost." Theric's upper lip curled in a snarl. "Kill me and be done with it. I will not surrender to primitives." Jiho smiled slightly. "If we were primitives, you would have won. But we are not what you thought we were." She turned to one of the Viral computer panels. "Your systems are coming back online now. Limited power, but enough for us to see something interesting." The screen showed images of other alien races, some humanoid, some completely different. Next to each image were notes in the Viral language. "Your people have done this before," Jiho said. "You attack new spacefaring species to test them. Those who fight well earn respect. Those who don't become slaves." Theric's eyes widened slightly. "How did you know this?" "I didn't," Jiho admitted, "but I suspected. Why else attack without provocation? You wanted to see what we would do." She stepped closer to the much taller alien. "Here's what humans do, Theric. We adapt. We find ways to win even when outmatched. We never give up." Theric looked down at Jiho. For the first time, there was something like respect in his 4 eyes. "Perhaps," he said slowly, "the test has given us unexpected results." Jiho nodded. "I think it's time you and I had a real conversation, one leader to another. The fighting can stop now or it can continue. The choice is yours." Around them, both humans and Vral waited tensely. The next few moments would decide if this was the beginning of peace or of a much larger war. They thought attacking a human, Starship, was easy. They were wrong. Silence filled the Viral command center. Humans and aliens stood facing each other, weapons ready but not firing. The air felt heavy with tension. Commander Jiho and Commander Theric sat across from each other at a large table. Neither spoke for several long moments. They studied each other, the human small but confident, the alien massive but uncertain. Finally, Theric broke the silence. "In 300 years, no species has disabled a Vral command ship with such a small vessel. We had no choice," Jiho replied simply. "You attacked us, we defended ourselves." Theric's 4 eyes blinked slowly. "The test was meant to be simple. Either you would surrender and prove yourselves unworthy, or you would fight and die with honor. There was a third option you didn't consider," Jiho said. "We could win." For the first time, something like a smile crossed Theric's face. "Yes, that was unexpected." Security Chief Yoonji stood behind Jiho, watching the Vral commander carefully. The rest of the boarding team remained alert, ready for any sign of trouble. "Your species is strange," Theric continued. "Your bodies are soft, your weapons primitive. Yet you turned our strength against us. You used our size and power as a weakness." Jiho nodded. "Humans have always had to adapt. On our world, we weren't the strongest or fastest creatures. We survived by thinking differently." Engineer Hanul's voice came through Jiho's communicator. "Commander, both ships have partial power restored. The Vral fleet is regrouping but staying at a distance." "They await my orders," Theric explained. "If I do not contact them soon, they will attack again." Jiho leaned forward. "And what will you tell them?" Theric was quiet for a moment. Then he stood up, towering over the humans. Everyone tensed, hands moving to weapons. But the Vral commander simply walked to a cabinet on the wall. He opened it and removed a long, curved blade. Its edge glowed, with a soft blue light. "This is the blade of recognition," he said, returning to the table. "In Vral tradition, when an enemy proves worthy in combat, they are presented with this weapon. It means they are no longer enemies, but equals." He placed the blade on the table before Jiho. "Your tactics were unusual, even disturbing to us, but effective." Therek's voice carried a new tone. "Respect. The test is complete. Humans have passed." Relief spread through the room. The human crew members exchanged glances, hardly believing what they were hearing. Jiho reached for the blade, but stopped short of touching it. "What happens now?" "Now," Therek said, "we negotiate, like civilized species." Over the next few hours, the commanders talked while their crews repaired both ships. They learned about each other's worlds, governments, and beliefs. The Vral were not evil, just different. They valued strength and direct action. They respected only those who could stand against them. "Our empire spans 12 star systems," Therek explained. "Many species live under our protection. Some as equals, others as subjects." "And which will humans be?" Jiho asked. Therek's 4 eyes focused on her. "That depends on your leaders, but you have earned the right to choose." When basic repairs were complete, both commanders addressed their crews together. They stood side by side on the bridge of the Defiant, a sight no one would have thought possible days earlier. "The battle is over," Jiho announced. "The Vral Imperium recognizes humanity as a worthy species. Commander Therek will return to his people with news of our encounter." Therek stepped forward. The human ship and crew fought with unusual methods, but great courage. They have earned our respect. He turned to Jiho. "We will meet again, Commander. Next time, as allies, I hope." The Vral returned to their ship. As they prepared to leave, Therek sent one final message to the Defiant. "Remember this day, humans. It will be recorded in Vral history as the day we found a new worthy race among the stars." The Vral fleet departed, leaving the Defiant alone once more. The human ship was damaged, but intact. More importantly, its crew had survived and achieved something remarkable. First contact, even if it hadn't gone as planned. In her quarters, Jiho recorded her final log entry about the encounter. The blade of recognition sat on her desk, its blue glow casting soft light on her tired face. "They thought attacking a human starship was easy," she said into the recorder. "They were wrong. And now the galaxy knows it too." The Defiant turned toward home, limping but proud. Earth needed to hear what had happened. They needed to prepare for a universe that was bigger, more dangerous, and more wonderful than anyone had imagined. The end.